Welcome to the Tomorrow Zone Catalyst podcast. I'm your host, Deborah Rubin. Today's conversation is part of our Future Shaping Leaders series, inspired by my book, Enter the Tomorrow Zone: How to Inspire Breakthrough Innovation and Shape Your Future. In this series, we're exploring how senior leaders are thinking and leading while responsible for shaping the future inside complex organizations and markets. So let's get into it. Today's conversation features Pete Stege, a growth strategist and CEO advisor, helping technical experts step fully into leadership. If you've ever seen a brilliant founder suddenly become responsible for vision, strategy, and scale, you know that shift can be exciting and overwhelming. I do know what that feels like. Pete specializes in guiding these accidental CEOs toward what he calls radical clarity, helping them cut through complexity, lead with purpose, and build real momentum in their businesses. With experience spanning startups to Fortune 100 companies, he's bringing a grounded, practical perspective on what it really takes to grow as a leader while growing a company. While not all of our listeners are entrepreneurs, I think Pete's leadership approach, especially in this wildly changing age of AI, is broadly applicable to most professionals and leaders that I know. So, Pete, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Deborah. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited about this your show in particular. Just Tomorrow Zone and all that you're about. This is like right where I live. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Well, welcome to the Tomorrow Zone. So before we dive into our conversation, Pete, I was wondering if you could just kind of share a 30-foot view of the work that you're leading and your strategic focus behind it.
You know, I have an unusual thought about technology businesses. And I think that one of the biggest challenges leaders have and businesses have is actually not the technology, it's meaning. It's what's behind what they do. And companies, especially led by technical experts, struggle with trying to do too much stuff when what they really need to do is get to the truth of what their business is about and really lean into that. So I've built my business and actually my vocation, if you will, around helping leaders find their truth and get out of the way. And I found that companies that can focus first on this purpose and meaning actually outperform those that are all about the things and the new and the innovation. That innovation I found that supports the meaning is the innovations that really work.
So I wonder if you could just step back a little bit and share some of your background. Like, how did you get into this type of work, Pete? Because, I shared a bit of your background from your bio, but I just want to hear like a tiny bit of your story.
Well, I like to say I was born an engineer. I
Oh
was
my
an electrical
gosh.
engineer.
That had to be a
And
really fun thing for your parents to deal with.
I have it in my blood. But I found when I got out into the world, I started in a high tech job. I was in a foundry at IBM, deep in the bowels of the semiconductor fab. But I found that I was drawn to the customer side of the business. So I've had a career that was always in technology businesses, but it was focused on growth and strategy and positioning, right? And I've had the good fortune to be part of right in companies that were going through all the existential pivots that you and I know about, right? The chips, every growth stage of the chips, from tape drives to disk drives, from into networking storage, into video streaming, into cybersecurity. I've kind of done it all. And so I found myself really seeing these patterns and seeing this truth behind this that I already mentioned. So 6 years ago, I started my own business, B2B Clarity, to help leaders figure out how to focus first on this, what I call their true story. So that's how I came here. It's really a lot of different size companies, a lot of different industries, different continents. I've seen a lot of things.
That's really cool because I think that your story is similar to what I see in the financial services and technology space, where we are often faced with challenges around innovation because we're at inflection points. We're seeing that happen all around us right now with the leap into AI and what does the world look like and what's the future of work. We could geek out for hours about what we've seen in the history of all of these major inflection points that have happened, as technology has continued to evolve and reshape business. But I think that this pattern that you have kind of keyed in on is a really important one, and I'm seeing it all the time in my work, where very, very technical and intelligent people are trying to make the leap into doing something new, but bridging that gap between that technical expertise and the human side of it, and really shaping that meaning and working, in both of those arenas at the same time. That's where a lot of friction comes in, and it
Absolutely.
makes innovation pretty difficult. So, I love your backstory, but starting a business is a big commitment. And so, what sparked your commitment to really focus on this challenge that you're working on right now?
I think what's driven me and continues to drive me is taking this step was really me focusing on what I think is my superpower. It was me seeing in the corporate world, I had successes, but what I was really, really good at, what I could really provide was just a little piece of it, right? Because there was all the meetings and the spreadsheets and the blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
So what's driving me forward is this opportunity to really be able to share what I really have to offer, which is this clarity and uncovering truth for these CEOs, coupled with just the experience about how things work in business, and what would be the next practical step given that truth, and what that. So I guess that's what it is. I feel like I'm living my truth myself, I guess.
Awesome. So, and I'm just curious, when you started this work, where did you first decide to focus your energy and why? I know you leaned into your superpowers, but what else went into it?
I think where I started, and which remains the foundation of my work, is what I call a true story. And that's my definition of that you can call it mission, vision, brand. It's some of those elements of all those things. But I found that nugget of truth that companies have lost or aren't aware of, is where I can provide the most value. And it also happens to be the beginning of any engagement that I can help somebody with. So that was where I really started, and where I remain, right? Sometimes that's all I do with clients is help them find their true story. But for other clients, it's the beginning of transformation for the rest of the company.
So, what does it look like when you encounter one of these accidental CEOs who's moving from that super technical world into a new world, really, of building a business? I mean, what does it look like, or what are some of the problems that you see when they don't have that clarity or their true story identified?
One common trait is muscle memory as a technical expert. they it's so easy for them to stay in the problem solving, in the building of the product, in the geeking out.
Hmm.
That's their comfort zone. And as a CEO, there's two reasons they go there. One is it's comfortable. All the other things that they need to learn as a CEO are scary, and they feel incompetent, right? So that is a common problem where they end up being the product lead more than they are the CEO. And the result of that is the activities outweigh the the meaning, right? And so the company has too many projects, too many priorities. The product has too many features. I have too many markets, And they are just racing, and they don't know why. So it's really common with these tech leaders. And as you already mentioned, AI is just throwing fuel on that fire.
Oh my
And
gosh,
so
in a huge way.
it's becoming a crisis for these leaders.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing with AI is, and especially for technical people, like it's very easy to acclimate. It's very easy to start leveraging AI, but I think, on the human side it's interesting because now when you're using AI as a thought partner to enhance your ideas or help you generate new things, you can do it at such a fast pace. And just because you can, you have to always ask, like, but should you? And the level of decision making that you face with such rapid brainstorming and results, like you can actually wear yourself out really fast in terms of just the amount of energy you have to apply to the level of discernment that's necessary to deal with those outputs that are coming so fast from AI. And I don't know anybody that is really able to handle that. I know for myself, I reach a limit pretty early in the day if I start using AI right away. I actually have to spend, set aside specific times for it, or I'll use up all of my critical thinking energy. And I wonder what you're seeing, because I think this is a really easy trap for leaders to get caught up in, this overwhelm. Like you think you're making progress and now you've created a bigger mess for yourself.
Yeah, I see that too, Deborah. It's absolutely, it's a new thing, and it not only wears you out. The other thing that I see leaders falling into is they forget who's in charge. And if they're not careful, and frankly, it happens to all of us, right? Because if you spend too much time in that relationship, not knowing who's the boss, which is you as the CEO, and being in charge of the relationship versus an equal, or some people even make AI the superior, right? The director, if you will. Hey, AI, what should we do about this? And so I find that's a big problem as well in this new relationship we're having with this technology.
I think that that's a really important thing to help people clarify, because it is new, and I hesitate to really think of anybody as a total expert on this stuff unless they're actually building the guts of it. Nobody knows all the things, and everybody's figuring it out as we go. So, I mean, but it's making the world like a super exciting place right now. While we're talking about AI, I'm just curious because one of the things we do at Tomorrow's Zone regularly, we have a monthly rhythm of this, and I do it daily, but we watch for signals and trends so that we can stay in tune with where things are going and not be caught by surprise. I'm wondering, in your work, what kind of trends, signals, or structural shifts have you been seeing, and what is most influencing how you're approaching this work?
One that comes to mind that I think to be fascinating for us to talk about is this change that AI is driving in customer engagement for clients, for business, and every business. And my belief is that AI is breaking marketing as it works today.
Oh, say more.
Yeah, I'll explain what I mean. So this dynamic, this is an example of the dynamic of things that look easy and are techy and are innovative, people jump on and then they pay the price. What I see happening in sales and marketing and customer engagement for companies is the following. And I'm going to use The Incredibles, if those of you know the movie, the Pixar movie,
Because that is one
as a
of
way
my
to just
favorites. We were just
excellent.
listening to the Incredibles soundtrack last night, my husband and I.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think there's three phases. We're in the first phase now of this disruptive change to customer engagement. The first phase is what I call the supers phase, right? So this is when the early adopters are getting big advantage from applying AI in their content, in their outreach, right? Because it's so easy. I can create new content. I can sound the way I want to sound. All the magic that we know that we can do with that. And that's great for a few people, but we're starting to see the impact of that on the market. Things like search engine optimization. People aren't that no longer returns things because this content is starting to flow in and fill the pipe, if you will, and change the dynamics of how marketing is done and how sales is done. It's harder to get hold of people because they're getting a lot more content,
Yeah,
right?
I'm hearing that from my customers and their
Right.
sales teams for sure.
And AI today has an accent still. It sounds, when you see it, that's not a human being talking to me. And that's alienating people as well, because people don't want to be talked to by robots. We're getting close to the second phase, which is really the disruptive phase. And I call that the syndrome phase. Syndrome in the movie is the evil genius. And his quote is, I'm going to make everybody special because when everybody's special, nobody is.
Oh my gosh, that is so appropriate for
right.
what we're seeing today. Like
exactly
just the high speed, massive generation of mediocrity.
Yes. We all feel special with the cool things we can do with AI, but we're all looking the same. And on top of that, we are totally flooding the market and our all the channels with content. And I don't know about you, but I don't have any more time to read emails or texts or posts. So I'm no longer going to be able to use those channels as a way for me to get information from or contact or have a relationship with my vendors, right? So that whole channel is gonna get totally flooded to where it's really no longer useful. Even worse, there is what I call the abstraction arms race that's being added. So not only on the one side can I create emails that make this long story out of something I just asked for in a phrase, flooding inboxes, I can also ask AI to summarize my emails, right? So to take all those emails and take me one step further from my vendors and my customers. So that whole system is breaking, which is pretty dark, but that's where we're headed. And it's coming. We all feel it. I mean, you're nodding your head. You know it. I know it. We
have
see
you
it today.
seen the meme? So there's this meme, and it's like a cartoon with, little scenes, and the first scene is the person saying, AI, write this email, and then the person receives the email, AI, summarize this email, and basically talking about how it's just a bunch of AIs talking to each other. Are we really connecting and communicating anymore?
Yeah, the story of, and maybe anecdotal, but I'm sure it's happening, where only the recording bots show up to a meeting and there's no humans in the meeting anymore. Right? If it hasn't happened yet, it's coming soon.
When I see more than two of those note taker bots show up in a meeting, I call it Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Nice. So the good news is there's a third phase, and it's called the Pixar phase. And this is the most important one. So I love Pixar too. And it's because they're such good storytellers. And I believe the way we get out of this is that there's this meaning desert that's being created by this, everything we just talked about. I don't want to talk to robots. I want to talk to real, authentic human beings.
Yeah.
So companies that
craving for that,
figure out, that focus on and wrestle with how they show up, their company shows up as authentic human voices and real people at scale. It's hard to do. I don't know yet how you do it, but those that figure it out, even a little bit better than everybody else, everybody's going to flock to them because they're so hungry for that real human thing that we all were born to be, right? So the opportunity for people listening is start now. Don't wait till everything falls apart. Start now and struggle with, how do we show up as authentic human business in this world we live in at scale? Because we can't all just go and talk to people face to face individually. But here's the great news. We do have this tool called AI as a way to help us. So back to AI being the servant to you being the boss, you can use your tool, AI, and have it help you show up as human. And that's part of the paradox here. But I guess that's an example of how this it's really just one more step in the technology evolution, right? AI. It's a dramatic one, but it's the same thing that we've solved and I've seen in so many different eras. We have to start with the meaning and be real, and then make the company reflect that reality.
I love that. So, as you've been doing this work, Pete, what assumption, belief, or leadership habit did you personally have to change to make progress?
So for me, it was I had the same thing. I was doing these things that I'm saying I recommend not doing, right? So I had to focus and understand my truth and lean into being human and showing up human. And still a focus of mine. Definitely started out trying to be like the other providers and, you know, add things versus what's my real value? And it's getting back to that truth. So yeah, that was the lesson I had to learn.
It's so interesting. This is actually showing up as a theme for me lately in the research that I'm doing and the work that I'm doing, and also in the conversations that we've been having on the show, where I'm just seeing more and more a pattern where growth requires subtracting elegantly rather than rapidly adding new things, which is the temptation today because things are moving at such a high speed and so much is possible. Doing the work and going through the discomfort and friction of actually figuring out what is absolutely necessary and why, that really is the key work of our day, whether you're fixing processes or you're fixing the marketing for your company or you're refocusing a CEO in a new business. It all kind of comes back to that. And I'm just seeing that come up more and more often.
I couldn't agree more. That's absolutely the essence of it. Less is more.
Yes. Shout out to Michelle on the Tomorrow Zone team. She says it all the time. She's been like a little person on my shoulder for years. Less is more, less is more. But, I think there really is something to that, especially now where
Yeah,
we are
especially
surrounded by
now.
abundance. So let's talk a little bit about momentum. As you moved forward in this work, what changed along the way about how you made decisions or how you allocated resources, or even how you might have involved stakeholders or customers in the work?
One of the key changes for me along the way was realizing my ultimate value for my clients is the transformation. It's this upfront truth finding. And oh my gosh, this is less is more again. This is the same story. I had been working with clients on that successfully, but then I would stick around and work on operational stuff that other people could help them with. And it wasn't my special zone either, right? So the thing that's changed for me is concentrating my value on the most valuable thing so I can actually help them better, but then also I can move on and help other people quicker too, right? So it's that was a big change for me.
I think that's a really important thing to realize and commit to also, because it is tempting to continually add more things that you could be doing, but I've found that for myself as well. Like whenever I can design what we're doing in a way that keeps me in that strength zone, the days are just happier for
Yeah,
everybody
right.
involved. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Isn't it amazing how that's the exact same dynamic that we've been talking
Yeah,
about? It's this universal truth that
yeah.
applies in so many levels here.
It's just beautiful. So Pete, we are in the tomorrow zone here. So as you look ahead and in the work that you're doing, what feels most critical for us to get right next in order to maintain long-term relevance? So the question a lot of business people are asking right now.
Yeah, we talked about AI and its impact, and of course that. I think I'm finding more and more the essence, the key thing that's going to be a success factor for that is speed. And what I mean by that is that the rate of change of technology is accelerating. And I believe we're crossing a big line right now where the rate of change that AI is enabling is faster than society and organizations and even people are able to absorb. So that's a problem.
Yes.
And the companies that figure out a way to accelerate that, again, they don't have to do it perfect, but this now becomes a competitive differentiator, right? The faster you can digest this change and activate it in your business, the better, the more likely you are to be a leader, right? That you have a chance to be ahead of everybody else. And so, yeah, I work on that a lot with my clients. And guess how we do it? Remove the baggage. It's the same story. It's you're trying to carry too much with your processes, your platforms, your mind stuff, your meetings, all the weight, the overhead, in a broad sense, the overhead in your brain, in your work, all that. The more you can reduce that, the more agile, the light on your feet and light in your brain, light with your culture you can be. I talk about zero culture, which means culture isn't about adding something, installing a culture. Culture is about peeling away the things that are in the way of this true story that we talked about, right? The more you can get it down to the bare bones, the faster you can move. And that's going to be the key to success.
So it really sounds like the work that you're doing is really helping a leader to build that foundation that's going to enable the acceleration and the agility that they need to take on the future.
That's well said. Thank you. I'm going to remember that.
Totally Tomorrow Zone.
Nice.
So, before we wrap this up and go into the lightning round, where could people find out more about the great work that you're doing?
Yeah, I created a landing page for your listeners for this show. It's at my website, b2b-clarity.com/Tomorrow Zone. If they go there, there will be some free resources for them. There'll be a link to my latest book, Radical Clarity, and there'll be an easy way for them to reach out and have a clarity call with me too, if they want to do that.
Awesome. All right. That's so cool. And thank you for doing that. So we'll definitely put all of that into the show notes and encourage people to check out your book. And we're going to move into the lightning round. So the first one, fill in the blank. Long-term relevance requires blank.
A true story.
Awesome. I'm looking for one word here. What word best describes what this work has demanded of you?
Clarity.
Oh, excellent. We love that word here in the Tomorrow Zone. A signal or shift that you believe leaders are underestimating right now.
Heating two words, being human.
Oh, say more.
That story of businesses that can show up authentically are going to be so in demand and so differentiated.
You know, that reminds me because I remember when I saw you in Chicago recently and you said a statement that stuck with me. The most human wins.
Boom.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Actually, that has stuck with me since. I think I've said it
Nice.
many times. So looking back, what do you wish someone would have told you before you started all this work?
Everyone has imposter syndrome. I think that helps me with my imposter syndrome when I realize that even the most high flying CEOs I talk to are dealing with feeling like they don't belong and that they are not capable of what they're trying to accomplish. So we're all fighting a great battle, and that helps when I remember that. And I didn't have that before.
Yeah, that really helps. So, Pete, it was so fun talking with you today. Thank you for joining me in the Tomorrow Zone, and we're gonna wrap with that.
This was awesome. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
So, to our listeners, if you're serious about shaping the future inside of your organization, I encourage you to start with my book, Enter the Tomorrow Zone. And if it sparks ideas or reveals gaps worth exploring, reach out to us at tomorrowzone.io. We'd welcome the conversation. Thanks again for listening. I encourage you to like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Stay curious and choose to make awesome happen.